All right, well,
Pay attention.
start to sit comfortably. Take your time to do that, you know that. You're more than welcome to sit in a chair. You're more than welcome to sit on the floor. And if you need blankets, grab as many as you want. And start to get comfortable. So just release, feeling your sitting bones reaching down and the top of the head reaching up. So you find that sense of space in your spine. And just let your hands release to where your shoulders feel comfortable, wherever that might be. And then just accept your breaths in and out through your nose. See if you can let your breath come into your belly. Feeling your belly expand a little bit as you breathe in. And then let's start to make those easy little circles with our torso. So letting yourself feel your exhales bringing you forward a little bit. You go off to one side. You inhale as you come back. And exhale as you come forward. Keeping those circles continuing in the same direction. So really take your time. They can be as big or as small as you want. You know that. It's that calming motion of moving with your breath there. And we are going to stop in reverse direction. So when you're ready, let yourself come off in the other direction. Good. And the next time that you end up kind of close to being up to center, stop wherever you choose so you can just rise on back up right now. And let your arms come on out beside you. Really letting yourself feel your shoulders release down. And we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down through the midline to be in front of our heart. See if you can lift your elbows up here. Feel the hands pressing more together so you really feel your wrists too. And then let the elbows soften back down. And let's keep the hands together as we inhale them up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. Good. And let's inhale the arms straight on out from our shoulders. And let yourself flex your hands there. And then send your tips of your fingers down towards the ground. So do that a couple more times. Flexing the hands, bringing the fingertips up. And then letting them come the other way so they face down. And one more time. Just really feeling the undersides of the arms when you flex. Feel more in the tops of the arms as you release there. And then lower your arms on down. Let's take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twist to your right, bringing your left hand around towards your right knee. Let that back arm just release down, either down the back of your chair or fingertips lightly on the floor. Now, if you can, stay in this twist with your body, okay? But we're going to turn our head back around to the left, to the right, sorry. So that you're turning, I'm sorry, to the left. I'm not mirroring. So that you're turning to look towards your left shoulder. I swear to you, I'm going to go back to mirroring one day because I think it's just so much easier. One more breath. And then very easily, use your belly to come back into center with the whole body now, and your head is still looking forward. So inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our left. So as you come around, again, let that back arm be really easy. Right down the back of your chair or just fingertips lightly touching the floor. Feel your sitting bones into the surface you're sitting on. Good. Now again, one more breath. And when you exhale, just turn your head back around towards the right so that you're just easily letting yourself look as much over towards the right as you can, kind of out over that shoulder. One more inhale. And now as you exhale, bring everything back around into the front. So it feels really good to get right back square. Good. And then from here, let's come forward a little bit. If you're on the floor and you feel better to stretch your legs long, do. That's fine. If you want to come into your seated forward bend in your chair with your elbows above your knees, or you may even want to let your hands come down further, that's fine. Just be mindful. Take your time. Let yourself release a little bit there. If you want to let the body go a little bit side to side, do. Oh, geez. You're okay. And then one more breath here. And then we'll come on back up. Let yourself rise on back up. If you all are cross-legged on the floor, switch the cross of your legs. Oh, you're good. And take your time as you switch the cross of your legs to get really comfortable in how you have your feet there, okay? And then we'll let ourselves, again, release our arms on out beside us. And then let's inhale the arms all the way out and up to a wide open V. Turn your pinkies towards each other. Now, really focus on the shoulders not lifting up. Releasing the shoulders down away from your ears. And then if you could bend your elbows and clasp your hands and put them right at the back of your head, do. If that bothers your shoulders, obviously don't do it. And from there, let your right elbow come up a little bit higher and your left elbow come down a little bit. And then come back to center, feel your belly when you come back, and then go the other way. So you're just coming into a little bit of a side stretch there. So just let yourself ease your way a couple more times from side to side, like you're just really feeling the side waist. Feel the head gently coming into your hands. And then the next time you get up, all the way up, press the back of your head into your hands, press down into your feet, whatever part of your feet are touching the floor. You're very engaged there in the core of your body. And then just release the arms softly on back down beside you again. Shake them out just a little bit. Good. Let's come on forward one more time. And again, you can adjust your legs however you want and come on into a seated forward bend. So take your time. Let it feel really good. If you're able to let your head hang, do. If you know that puts too much into your back, by all means don't do that. And just breathe. Easy breaths in and out. Good. And now we're going to slowly make our way on back up to sitting. Shake everything out a little bit. Stretch your legs out for a second. Move through your feet too. But we are going to head around towards our hands and knees, or if you know you don't want to be on your knees, use your chair. And if you'd rather use a blanket underneath your knees, if you're on the floor, do it. And hands, the hand issue. I know some of us, it gets to be where having your hands like this with that deep crease in your wrist is just too much, right? So if you need to go to fists, or go to your forearms to do your cat-cow, or even hold the edge of the seat of a chair if that feels better too. And just take your time. Start to flow through your back now. And just be mindful, feeling the tailbone initiate there. Imagine just flowing up your spine. Once the tailbone moves, where it's either drawing up under you for cat pose or it's reaching back and up for your cow pose, just let yourself feel that suppleness in your spine. That really natural, easy flow through the back. Good. And then finish the one that you're on there. We're going to step our left foot forward. And we're going to find our first lunge, so you know the height of your hands is totally up to you. You may feel better having your hands on the chair. You may feel better having your hands on blocks, any height. Take take your time. Get into that lunge where you feel really good up into your hips, right? You don't want your feet lined up. You want to have a space between your feet like you're on railroad tracks. Granted, they're narrow railroad tracks, but you want to feel that distance between the feet that way. And then we're going to switch legs. So however you need to come to the other side. Again, just really finding that alignment where you feel good up into your hips, and it's not so hard to even think about if you wanted to bring a hand up, balancing. We'll bring a hand up when we switch legs again if we want to. So let's switch and go back to the first side. So if your feet are that little bit of width apart, sometimes it does feel really easy to bring the left hand up to your thigh. Rather than having your feet in that line, you've got that sense of ease. You can bring one hand up or both if you want. And we're going to switch legs again. Again, once you get that alignment and you feel pretty good, if you think of using your belly a little bit, it might feel pretty good to float your right hand or forearm up to your thigh, or you may want to not bring a hand up or bring both. Good, and then we're going to come on back forward with our feet right underneath us for a standing forward bend. So at first, and use whatever sports you need, you know that. See if you can lift your toes all up. Let your toes just reach upward off the floor, all of them if you can. And then just softly let the toes come on back down. And whether you need to keep your elbows above your knees, or maybe you need to let yourself bring your hands to the chair or the blocks, be mindful as you come into opening up through the back of the legs. Feel the breath coming in and going out through your nose. Good. One more nice full deep breath. And we'll bend our knees, press equally into our feet, rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. Bringing your gaze on forward and out, whether your eyes are open or closed. If you need to sway around a little bit, shift around a little bit, get yourself feeling very centered between your feet do. And let yourself just enjoy, allowing the body to stack up, really. Hips over your ankles. That pelvis is aligned, tailbone dropping down towards between your heels. Shoulders over your hips. Light through your face. Actually, if you can, without really physically smiling, just imagine that you're smiling. Feel how light your face becomes. And then we'll let our arms unfold on down beside us. And inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bend our knees as we come forward and take it out of our backs into standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find a nice long, flat back. Step the right foot back to come into lunge here. Let your shoulders come down away from your ears now. Engage a little more like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Press your feet away from each other. Good. And we're going to come into downward facing dog pose. So making your way back into down dog. And, you know, be mindful wherever you like your hands to go. And if your shoulders don't feel right, sometimes just changing how high your hands are can help. Different height on the blocks changes that, or bringing the hands up to the chair or down lower. Sometimes lower feels better. And of course, if your hands are on the floor, you're more like an upside down V. On the next inhale, let's come on out towards a plank. You don't have to do a full plank. You can put your knees down and do a half plank. You can put your forearms down and do a forearm plank. You can bend your elbows if you like to do push-ups. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose again. Let yourself reach equally back through your sitting bones. Enjoy opening up the backs of your legs here. And we will bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. And you know, whatever you need to do to get into that lunge. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful of your own back. If you need your elbows to rest above your knees, do. If you feel like you'd like to bring your hands down, that's fine. Some of you might even want to hold your elbows, feeling that full weight of your torso there. Watch the breath in and out. Enjoy feeling that expansion of the ribs as you inhale. And then as we let our knees bend, we're going to bring our hands back to our hips and rise on up to standing. Inhaling our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's release our arms on down beside us and inhale both arms up into a wide V. You turn your pinkies towards each other. Drop your shoulders down. Good. And then lower your left arm down. We're going to come over into side stretch through the right side, letting yourself. Now, when you get over a little bit to the side, feel that right foot pressing a little more down into the ground. Feeling the sense of spaces between the ribs there on the right side, especially when you inhale, the space increases. And then we'll rise on back up. We're going to lower that arm down and rise the left arm up at the same time. And then again, letting yourself come a little bit to the side. And now feel that left foot pressing down a little more into the floor. And then bring your breath into that left side. Feel the ribs expand when you inhale. And then we'll rise back up, arms back into that wide open V. Turn the pinkies towards each other. If it feels good, you can look up. If it bothers your neck, don't do it. One more inhale. And on the exhale, bend the knees and come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you lengthen out your spine, whether your hands go to your legs or your blocks or the chair. And this time we'll step our left foot back to come into lunge. Draw your shoulders down. Take your time. Really find your lunge in your whole body here. Press the feet gently away from each other. Make sure you're not dropping way, way, way down in that left side. You're still fairly level in your hips. Good. And we'll come on into a downward facing dog pose from here. So again, where your hands are, that is totally up to you. Feel those elbows hugging towards each other so you feel your shoulders in a very good way though. You can walk your dog if it feels good to bend a knee at a time. You can let one knee bend and really appreciate the stretch through the back of that long leg. Come on back to your full dog and let your next inhale carry you out towards that plank. And again, whether you stay on your hands or go to your forearms or put your knees down, do a half plank, that's fine. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. That's equally back out of your hands and reach equally back through your sitting bones. And we'll bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And again, what you need to do to get there, knees down, it's fine, whatever works. And then we'll step back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. If you can feel the weight of your head do, in other words, you know, if your back bothers you to do that, keep your head more in line with your spine, but if you're able to let your head hang loose, feel the feet equal in the floor. Remember, it's fine to have your knees a little bent and you're standing forward bend. And then we'll let our hands come back up to our hips and bend our knees and rise on up. We're going to inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Stay here for a breath. Feel that light feeling in your head now, but feel very grounded through your feet. Let yourself enjoy feeling that quiet strength of simply standing very aligned in your mountain pose. Might even feel a little bit taller than when you started already. Let's release our arms back down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend your knees a little as you come forward from the hips into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that nice flat long back wherever you need your hands to help you do that. We're going to walk into a downward facing dog pose. So hands go to the level you like. Step your way back. Again, walk your dog a little bit. Feel your elbows softly hugging towards each other. And then come on back to your full dog. Let your next inhale bring you out to that plank. And you know a back bend is totally optional here. If anybody wants to do one, they can come to the floor, do a sphinx or a cobra. You can, if you want, come through for an up dog. And then make your way back again into downward facing dog pose. So walk a little bit here if you need to. Maybe you can let your head turn a little side to side if that helps you feel like you're not tensing up in your neck and your throat. And then come on back to full dog. And again, we're going to come out towards that plank. And again, it is totally optional to go into a back bend of choice. You can come to the floor. You can do a cobra. You can do a sphinx or an up dog. And then you can make your way back into downward facing dog pose. Good. And from here, let's bring our left foot forward to find lunge. Draw your shoulders down again. Really feel your body here. Press the feet away from each other. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend. And go right to your breaths. Receiving those breaths in and out. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Now for a second, get your feet under. You might want to look at them. Let your hands come down for a second. And get your feet, just that distance apart where you feel good. And then keep looking at your feet and lift your toes up. All right? So you can let your arms just come down. Do whatever you want with your arms, really. So once your toes are up, you can really tell, like if you roll to the pinky toe side of your foot, do that for a second, you can really feel it when your toes are up. Or if you roll into, so you kind of come knock-kneed, into the insides of your feet, you can really feel that, right? So come back where you feel pretty equal, like the big toe mound and the little toe mound are pressing into the floor. And now see if you can keep all your toes up except your big toes. And the big toes are going to come down to the floor. That in itself might be like, oh, are you kidding? But you can try, you can think about your brain trying to make those connections to do that. Bring your big toes up. And now try just your little toes going down to the floor, which is usually harder for most people. Some people have toes that are just like fingers, though, that just do all this stuff. Then bring them all up. And then see if you can put your big toes and little toes down, but keep the other ones up. Yeah, right. That's the hard one, right? Some people can really do that. Imagine some of you in here can do that. And they don't think it's hard, right? I've never understood how that works because I sure can't do it. But okay, let your toes release back down to the floor. And try not to grip, like pretend like they're cat paws for a second and really grip your toes into the ground. And then feel how good it feels when you just go, just let your toes go. You're not really usually unaware of your toes, right? Very important. We don't even give them half the credit they need to get. So bring your hands together in front of your heart. Feel your feet, but also feel your toes in the floor. And then maybe give your hands that same appreciation, right? So when the hands are gently together here, feeling the fingers gently touch and your thumbs. And then just imagine you're inhaling and the breath rises up the front of your body, goes over the top of your head, and when you exhale, it just kind of flows down the back of your body, like a waterfall, really. And that sense of the breath rising up the front as you inhale, flowing down the back as you exhale, can also help the body align. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and shake out a little bit. And if you need to move through your feet now, ankles do. We're going to come into some warriors. So I'm going to turn my chair around. Make sure you have your blocks handy. We're going to step our right foot back and come into warrior 2. And we're going to get our heels lined up. Get our left foot parallel to the long edge of the mat, the right foot about parallel to the back edge, depending on your knee, your hip. How far apart your feet are totally up to you. And then from here, just let your arms start to float. And let them float up and up and up, higher than your shoulders, all the way up so the palms face down, but you really got them up quite high, right? And once they're up like that, it feels like your shoulders just want to drop down. Let them drop down. And then see if you can start to lower your hands down for warrior 2 arms and still feel that release in your shoulders. Reaching out through the fingertips, pressing the feet gently away from each other. Good, and let's turn our left palm up and bring our right hand onto our right leg and slide the right hand down until you're reaching straight up with your left hand towards the ceiling. Now you don't have to look up. If your neck bothers you, look forward. But take a breath now to expand the left ribs. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. So your left hand or forearm can go onto your thigh or your chair, right? And then you can decide whether that right arm wants to swing up into line with the right side of your body, with the palm facing down. So you're long through both sides of your body. It's not about trying to go way out over the leg and folding over it. It's about keeping your spine lengthened. Beautiful. We're going to come on back into warrior 2. Pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And now let your hands come down, and we're going to find our way into a lunge. So you'll bring your hands down to whatever surface you want to use and release that right heel directly behind your foot into that, just the runner's lunge that we've been doing so many of already. But we're going to add that twist, bringing our left hand to our left hip and rolling that shoulder up. Coming into twist either with the hand staying right there, so you know you're fairly level, or you may want to reach your arm up. And you know, that is totally up to you. Reaching that arm up, for some of us, the shoulder's just not going to do that. So be where you can. One more breath. And then release your hand on back down. And we're going to straighten the front knee out and just let that back heel go directly behind your foot still. It might end up on the floor, but it might not. Just let yourself open up through the backs of both your legs there. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the front knee. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. So adjust your feet if you need to get yourself where you can get in your standing forward bend. Good. And then bring your hands on up to your hips and let your feet feel equal in the floor as you come on up to standing. And inhale your arms all the way out and up. And on your exhale, bringing the hands down as the head floats up higher, coming into your mountain pose. See if you can just enjoy that. Feel the feet, again, equal in the floor. Feel that lightness in your head. And then unfold your arms on down beside you. And we're going to come to the other side. So again, stepping the left foot back this time for warrior 2. So the heels are in about a line. How far apart your feet are, totally up to you. So when you bend that front knee, make sure you're aligned. The knee's not coming inward. It's right over the center of your foot there. And then as you float your arms up again, let them come higher and higher and higher and higher. And they'll come to this space where it just feels like your shoulders automatically drop down. And then see if you can start to bring the arms down into your warrior 2 arms, looking out over the top of your right hand. Feeling the feet on the floor, feeling that sense of being very balanced between your feet, all the way up through your legs into your hips. Good. We're going to turn the right palm up, put our left hand on our left leg, slide the left hand down enough to reach the right hand straight up. Now remember, if your neck bothers you, don't look up. You can look forward. You can look wherever feels good. Breathe into the right side here. One full breath. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle, where either your right hand or forearm can go onto your thigh or onto your chair. And you can rise that left arm up only if that feels okay for your shoulder. You can always keep the left hand down on your hip. Feel that length through both sides of the body. Enjoy. And we're going to come on back to Warrior Two. So as you do, if you press your feet a little away from each other, it gets you right back into the core of your body. Good. And now as the hands come down, remember we're going to find lunge. So you may want to bring your hands down to blocks any height or down to the chair back or the chair seat. And then you can add your twist of right hand onto your right hip or onto your low back. Make sure you're not dropping into that left side. It's fairly level. And of course, again, if you like to add the arm up, you can add that arm straight up from your shoulder with the palm facing out, so that you really come into an easy place for your shoulder. And if your shoulder says there's nothing easy about that, just keep your hand down. Good, and then we'll come on back down. From here, we're going to step forward and come on into our standing forward bend. So release, and if you're fine, if you're like, oh, I just want to let my body just fold and hold my elbows, go for it. If it's too much for your back, don't do it. Use your elbows above your knees, whatever works, hands on the blocks. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. As we bend our knees, we'll come up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then unfold your arms on down beside you. Shake out a little bit. And this time, as we come to the front of our mat, make sure you have your blocks handy. We're going to come into Warrior One. So if you have your chair there and you need it for balance, put your hands on it. We're going to step our right foot back. So usually in Warrior One, everybody's different. You get to a spot where you want to feel like this back foot is in a place where you're not struggling so much with balance. And often that means bringing it a little more to the right, so that you're not lined up with your feet, like we talked about in a lunge. But then some people, lining up their heels feels great, right? So you got to find what works, get that angle of that back foot where you feel open in the front of your hip, but you don't feel stress in your knee or in your ankle or your foot, right? And then let your arms just hang down for a second. Feel that gaze coming forward. Imagine here that you just got your shoulders over your hips and it's easy. And we're going to try moving a little bit with the arms and shoulders. Don't push it if it hurts your shoulder. But we're going to inhale the right arm forward and up overhead. And then we're going to circle it around behind us. Now, your shoulder will tell you how far back you can go with that. And then bring it on down. Now, just to do that movement with your arm takes use of the core right here. Let's do the left arm. So bringing the arm forward and up. And then letting it come back down behind you. Feel how you have to use your belly and your low back and your hips. Both arms together, inhaling forward and up and back behind you. And again, don't overdo it, but feel how the belly works. And then as you inhale this time, arms are going to come up overhead. Come into a wide V at first. Turn your pinkies towards each other. And then see about bending your elbows and clasping your hands like we did earlier behind your head. And your elbows can come a little wider. Press the back of your head a little into your hands. Feel that core body again. And now if you're able to, keep your hands together and start to send your pointer finger out. That hand mudra where you're clasped with the pointer finger out. Elbows can stay bent. You can stay right here. You can, if you want, look up a little bit. Let yourself come into bringing your gaze up, that little bit of lift at the base of your shoulder blades. And some of you might want to straighten your arms out, right? If you need to, the arms can be here. They don't have to be right back by your ears. So be where your shoulders allow you to be. One more breath. And then bring your gaze back forward if it was up. Release your arms on down beside you. And we're going to turn sideways on our mat so that we can come into a wide-legged forward bend. So you may want to grab your blocks. Let yourself bring your hands down to whatever surface you want to use, the floor or your blocks. And then adjust your feet a little bit. Start to bend a knee at a time so that you can get your feet the distance apart that feels good for you. If it hurts your knees to bend one knee at a time, don't do it. Good, and then come on back in to where you're centered again. And let's walk over, either with our blocks or our hands, over towards the right foot. Doesn't matter if you get all the way there. Go as far as you can. Let your right hand then come on up to your right hip. You can roll your shoulder up a little bit if you want. And then come on back down with that hand. We're going to walk back through center, and we're going to go over to the left. And again, you might just want to go a little tiny bit. You may want to go all the way to your foot. Let your left hand come up to your hip there. You know, you can roll the shoulder up and look up a little bit if that feels good. And then come on back down with the hand. Make your way back to center. And now ease your way into where you think you're going to be able to stay for a few breaths comfortably. That's the ticket, right? Where you can bring your awareness to your breath and you're not feeling physically uncomfortable or any kind of stress or strain in the body. So stack up blocks if you need. And use them for your forearms or for your head, or have your hands on the floor if that feels fine. And then just allow, if possible, the head to hang. Let your breath come in and go out to expand your ribs when you inhale in all directions. And when you exhale, just imagine your face getting softer and softer every time you exhale. Good. One more breath. Now be really mindful when you start to rise up. If you need to change how far apart your feet are before you come up, by all means do. And if you're at all dizzy when you come up from being in that forward bend, take your time. Walk your feet together when you're ready. And move around through your feet and your ankles. And we're going to come to the other side. So again, we're going to step forward towards the front of the mat. And when we step that left foot back for warrior one, you may have to adjust it. You may go, well, I really don't want to be that long a stance, or I want to be longer, or I want to be wider or less wide. When your shoulders come around square towards the front of your mat, and your back foot is there to open up the front of your left hip as you come into warrior one, you can at first bring your hands to your heart this time. So you feel your shoulders over your hips. You're letting your gaze come directly in front of you, letting yourself feel your feet equal in the floor. And now remember, when you unfold your arms on down beside you and you feel your arms hanging, we're going to let ourselves think about that circle and what it does in the core of your body, not so much what your arm's doing, right? So let's inhale our left arm all the way out and up overhead, and then let it come as far behind us as we can. Of course, you can only do what you can do. And then we'll do the other arm. So letting that right arm come up and letting it move as much as you can around behind you. And then both arms together, inhaling, really feeling the rise of the belly there. And when they circle back, stay nice and strong there in the core of the body. And this last time, we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up, wide V. Let the pinkies turn even more towards each other. Your arms can be forward if you need. You know that. You can look up a little if that feels good. And then bend your elbows if you can. Bring your hands at the back of your head and let your head be supported by your hands. I'm actually just gently pressing my head in my hands. I like looking up, but if that bothers you, don't do it. Look forward. And just press your head gently into your hands. Feel that lift at the base of your shoulder blades. Now, if you can send the hands up and interlace the fingers and put your pointer finger up, hug your elbows in. You can keep your elbows really bent here. Or you can come into straighter arms if you choose to. So be where you can. Coming into that warrior one. Now remember that inhale up the front of the body and exhale down the back. Really picture that here now. So the breath rises up the front of the body over the top, and the exhale comes down like a waterfall flowing down your back. And then we're going to bring our gaze forward if we were up, and we're going to release our arms on down beside us. And we're going to turn again for that wide-legged forward bend. So take your time, get your feet where you think you want them, and then come on forward, whether you like blocks or your hands on the floor. Once you get down with your hands to a surface, bend both your knees equally if you can. Let your back be nice and long so that you've got a really nice, long, flat back. And you can even put your elbows above your knees if you like. And take a second here to appreciate what your body can do. Oftentimes, you know, and I know, I do it too, as we get fixated on what we can't do instead of what we can. So, appreciate what your body is able to do. And then if you're able to bring your hands down to blocks or the floor, do. And your legs can stay bent or they can come straighter. Now, if any of you want to walk your hands back more towards between your feet, you can. Now, some people that feels amazing, very releasing. Some people it is not good for their back. So, and if you'd rather bring your hands to your ankles or turn your fingertips backward and walk way behind yourself, you can. To feel a little bit different feeling in the pose. So once you've explored a little bit with bringing your hands a couple of different places, try to get to that spot where you can stay and be with your breath easily. So let yourself adjust back to where you know you can just watch your breath without feeling any strain in your body. And again, those nice full inhales and focusing on the exhale of just releasing deeper and deeper. Every time you exhale, just think about your face relaxing more and more. Your jaw, your throat, your forehead. Good. One more full deep breath in and out. And when you're ready to rise up, just take your time. If you need to adjust your feet before you come up, by all means do. We'll rise on up. And again, be mindful if you are dizzy and walk your feet together when you can. Be easy about that. Good. We're going to keep our mats where they are, but we are going to walk to a wall. And you don't need anything but you. You don't need to have your feet on a mat or anything. And somebody can come up here. There we go. And let's turn our left hand towards the wall. And see about bringing your right ankle, either crossing your right ankle in front of your left ankle, where you're low there with your foot, or bringing that ankle above your knee and bending your left knee a little bit, and sitting back a little with your hips. So you're actually crossing the ankle. You're supporting your ankle right above your knee or below it, right? And there's quite a hip thing going on here. Actually, both in the right and in the supporting. Probably almost feel it more in your supporting leg, right? So you can stay there for a breath. Just let yourself breathe wherever you need to bring the breath. Good. One more breath. And then come up, uncross your legs now. Put your feet on the floor. And now cross your left, your inside ankle in front of your right. But you want the foot all the way on the floor. So the foot's on the floor, the toes are facing forward. Left hand is on the wall. And then you're going to bring the right arm up overhead and start to just lean towards the wall into a side stretch. Okay, so Just breathing into the right side. Depending on how far you are from the wall, you might be able to touch it, or you might even be able to, bring your head to the wall. I'm too far away to do that, but just release into that right side of the body, all the way down through the front of the hip, and actually, it's a very deep side stretch. Doesn't look like much, does it? And then we're going to release and come on back up, and we are going to turn around. We're going to, at first, stand on our right foot, cross our left ankle, either below the knee, more towards the ankle or above. And then again, if you can sit back a little bit, like you're going into chair pose. So your torso comes a little bit forward as your hips shift a little back. And just let your hips adjust there. If you want to balance, go right for it. That's fine. You can bring your hands to your heart and balance. It's a hard balance. Good, one more breath. And then as you rise up and you bring that foot to the floor, you can adjust to cross that right ankle in front. You can bring that left arm up overhead. And then you can let yourself come over into that side stretch. And again, you might even be able to get all the way to the wall if you're close enough. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly rise back up. We're going to turn to face the wall. This one we're going to do a little calf stretch. So if you can step your left toes to touch the wall, okay? Now, if you can even curl your toes up the wall, do it. But you want to keep the ball of the foot on the floor, right? And if all the toes don't cooperate to go up, don't worry about it. Just do what you can. And then the right foot is going to be back maybe, a foot or a foot and a half, a very short little lunge with your heel staying on the floor, the heel directly behind your foot. And then you're going to bend your left knee into the wall, put your hands to make a little pillow, put your head on your hands, and then really engage your belly here. And if you're not feeling anything, like in your calf, the back of the leg, maybe even the front of that right leg, you can step back further if you want to. But the key thing is to keep the heel on the floor and to use your belly. Zip up your low belly. So you can step further back if you feel like you want more. That is totally up to you. One more breath. And now we're going to do a switch. So as you step that left foot back, and if you can curl the right toes up, and again, if it doesn't cooperate, just put the tips of the toes on the wall, right? Because not always will those toes do that. And then when you bend the knee towards the wall, and you put your head on your hands and really release your neck there so you're not tensing up, right? And then keep that left heel really drawing to the floor. Yes, beautiful. Engage your belly. Find that release there for that back of that left leg. Good. One more breath. And now step back. Go ahead and bring your hands to the wall and come on into a down dog with your hands at the wall. So we're attempting to be about 90 degrees at our hips, the angle, right? You don't need to be though, right? You can be up higher if you need to be. Let yourself just stretch your back out. You can come to fist if your hands are going, there's no way I am putting my hands like that flat on the wall with that deep wrist crease. Or if your shoulders bother you, right? You adjust how you need. Try to find a nice flat back. Let your feet be right under your hips. So if you were to think about lifting one leg off the floor right now, could you do it? Or do you have your supporting legs in the same right places? Right? And you can. If you want to lift a leg up for a little warrior 3, you can play with that. You're here in your dog. You can lift one foot up and let yourself turn the toes to face the floor. And then you can bring that foot down and do the other one if you want to, right? Not necessary. That's only if it feels like really fun. Don't push it. Oh, everybody thinks it's fun today. today. Good. And then come on down. Let yourself release. Good. Turn your back to the wall for a second and just bring your feet about a foot away from the wall. Let your knees be a little bit soft, or if you want, they can be straight if that feels better for your back, right? And then turn your palms forward. Let your hands press back against the wall there, feeling that openness across your chest. So don't try to push your head into the wall, especially if your chin lifts up like that. But think about the top of the head reaching up towards the ceiling, letting yourself just feel easy there. Good. And then we're going to release and come on down. We're going to come down back to our mats and go down onto our bellies on the floor. So take your time and let yourself, once you get down there, you can do that same little pillow with your hands that we did at the wall. Rest your head. If that bothers your neck, don't do it. Let's see it though, if you can at least bend your knees and let your feet play around back there. They can circle. You can let the legs go side to side. Just be mindful. Let it feel really good and relaxing. You can even do that like making an X with your ankles, crossing your ankles, and then opening the feet to the side, and you know, if that feels good. Okay, let's do a little fun, little side plank work here. Let's come on to our forearms. Let your elbows be pretty much under your shoulders unless that's bad for your back. As you come into Sphinx, you can let yourself be up higher. You can be lower with your elbows down further. You're still really letting yourself find a little bit of a back bend, whether it's elbows under the shoulders or not. Good. One more breath there. And now, let's just do this. Let's roll onto our left side. Get your left elbow right under your left shoulder. And that's kind of the ticket. Your knees are forward. You're up on your forearm, not laying on your forearm, but up on your forearm. On your left side.
On your left or on your right?
You're on your left side. That's your right side.
Oh, shit.
And then let your left hand just come kind of like it's reaching towards the corner of your mat a little bit. So you have that little angle. Okay, now already you might be doing more than you want to do in your shoulder. Don't do it if it's too much. Don't do any more. Come down if you need to. But just to be here, you can feel your shoulder engaging, right? If you want a little more, you can stretch your top leg long and then reach your right arm straight up into the air from your shoulder. And that's a little side plank variation right there. And then from there, if you want more, let yourself bend your knees again, okay? And then put your right foot on the floor in front of you, stretch your left leg long, and pick your hips up. Not everybody needs to do that.
Right.
And you can stretch your arm up from there. Yeah, not everybody needs to do it. Don't do it if your shoulder hurts. Keep your hips down, don't do it. Good, and then come on down. We're gonna roll back through center. We're gonna go right away to get that right elbow under our right shoulder. And again, this hand, you can make a loose fist or you can have it open, but it reaches towards that corner of your mat a little bit. So that little bit of an angle is usually a little better for your shoulder. You might want to stay right here and be perfectly happy. If you like to stretch the top leg because it feels good, you can stretch the top leg out and then reach that arm up, and there's a lot of length going on there. And if you're like, I don't even want to do that, don't do that, right? And then you can bring your knee back, and I forgot to say this one on the other side. You can actually lift your hips up a little bit, letting your left hand help you on the floor. Or you can do that top foot goes on the floor, bottom leg lengthens, and you can lift your hips up there and come into that side plank variation. Again, if it hurts your shoulder, don't do it. Good. And then when you're ready, come on back down. Come on back onto your belly. Make that little pillow with your hands. Bend your knees. And now see if you can just let your knees go out towards the outside edges of your mat and your feet are gonna come together and meet each other. So your feet are gonna come right in, and then you can stay right there. If you like to let the feet come down a little more, if that helps your hips to feel a little more released, you can. Don't force it. You're not trying to push your feet to the floor. But you can. I mean, sometimes making your knees a little different distance too helps. But let yourself release. Be easy. Now this next one I'm kind of hesitant to say, but some people, I love it, but you gotta be really careful. If you can let one foot go down towards the floor and the other one come up a little bit, and you can watch, you can do that and then go to the other side. So it's like you're just shifting your hips a little bit, letting one foot go down and the other one be up. And so one hip pointer comes off the floor, you know, that side, that foot that's going down. Again, don't do it if it doesn't feel good in your hips. Good. And then finish off. Bring your legs back down. Get them underneath you. So kind of walk them back underneath you again. And then bring your arms down alongside you. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, see if you can just float your head and your chest up a little bit. And then lower, head back down. And now see if you can lift just your legs up a little bit. You can point your feet. You can kind of draw the toes back if you want. You can do that little kind of half pointing, half flexing thing if you want. And then come on back down. Good. And now from here, we're going to let ourselves float up into Locust Pose with everything. And so letting the arms, the legs lift up. You know, you can let yourself feel that lift. And then release and come on back down. We're going to shift back towards pose of a child. So as you do, be really mindful. Take your time. Let yourself, if you need to stay up with your hips up in the air, do it. So you're not putting stress into your knees shouldn't be there, right? So just release into your breath. Let yourself feel the breath coming into the low back. Good, and then we'll do just a little bit of a shoulder release. So come up enough. We're going to thread the needle with our left arm. It's going to come underneath your right arm, and you're going to let yourself release there. I mean, if you can put your head on the floor. If that doesn't work, you can be kind of up like this and let your shoulder release that way. And my left palm is facing up. You can reach your right arm like you're doing a down dog if you want, overhead, or you can just let the elbow be soft. And then bring your right hand back by your face so you can come up. And we're going to thread the needle with the other arm. Right arm comes through. Again, you know, if you're up, you're up. It's fine. It's still going to release your shoulder. You don't have to be. You can be up with your hips and everything. Or you can be down more. And again, if your head wants to relax on the floor, more power, that feels even better. Good. One more breath. And then bring your left hand by your face. We're going to come up, and we're going to come on around to sitting. Making our way on around to sitting. Take your time there. Let your legs stretch out for a second. Good. And now from here, let's come into a little bit of a wide angle, bringing our feet apart, okay? And letting, if you need to sit up on blankets or blocks or both, do it. Put support under your knee, letting yourself feel your knees and your toes facing up towards the ceiling. And at first, just a little tiny bit forward. Let yourself come just a little forward. Now, feel this idea that you're pushing, like if you had a strap across the ball of your foot, like when we do strap stretch, that you're pressing into the balls of the feet a little bit. Feel how that engages you very deeply in your inner thighs and in your outer thighs too. Good. And then let yourself come on back up, and let's twist. And I'm gonna mirror you towards your right leg. And then from there, bring your hands to the top of your leg and start to just slide down a little bit if you can with your hands. So you're just coming out over that leg, and if the right sit bone wants to come up a little bit, the left one wants to come up a little bit, let it. But face your leg, right? So you're really coming forward over the leg. There you go. And now from here, keep your left hand on your leg, your right hand on your leg, bring your left hand up to your hip and come into a side stretch here. Now you can keep your hand down here, or you may decide, oh, I want to feel my ribs, or I want to put that left hand behind my head. Maybe that'd feel good, or you can stretch your arm out long if you feel good to do that. Just be mindful. Open up through that side of the body. Good. And then we're going to slowly rise on back up from there. Once you get to the top, twist towards your left leg. And then again, you're going to just kind of come out over it a little ways. You're going to feel your hamstring. Take your time. I mean, some of you might want to go way down to your ankle or your foot and let your head hang. If that feels like a relief, go for it. Good, and then from here, bringing your right hand to your hip and then opening the right shoulder kind of up towards the ceiling, you're going to find that side stretch. So again, your hand can stay down. You may decide to feel your rib cage a little bit. You may want to put your right hand behind your head. Who knows, you might want to stretch it out long. You know, just play a little bit in your side stretch. Good. And then we're going to come on back up to the top. And now just ease your way a little bit forward again. Now if you want to go farther forward, do it. If you're like, yeah, I'm just going to come a little bit, keeping my back long, feels good there, and you don't want to go any farther, don't. If your built is such that it feels like a huge relief to come forward between your legs, then go for it. Let yourself find that release in the inner thighs, the backs of your legs. Good, and then we're going to slowly come on back up. And you might want to use your hands to help you. We're going to bring our legs together and roll down onto our backs on the floor. So if you don't like rolling through your back, don't do it. If it feels good, you know, you can hold behind your thighs. You can round your back a little bit. You can let yourself roll on down, but don't do it if it bothers your back. Once you get down there, bring your knees on in towards your chest. And let the knees come a little side to side, or circle them if that feels even better for you. Do what feels really good to release your back. Good, and then bring your right hand on your right knee and your left hand on your left knee, and let your right knee come away from you so the right leg arm comes long, and you're kind of pulling your left knee in towards you, and then you're just going to switch, right? So you're just going to let yourself do those little switcheroos. It's almost like you're walking, you have your hands on your knees, one arm comes long when that knee comes away, and just let it feel easy in your back. And then finish off. Let's bring our feet down to the floor. And then from here, let your arms come overhead and soft. Okay? Just really easy. Arms are up. They can be in a wide V if that feels better in your shoulders. Just let the arms kind of be at a little bit different place. Feel the feet on the floor for a bridge pose. And just press into your feet and float up a little bit. And you may not want to go very high. Your arms overhead like this makes it feel very different. You might want to go just a little bit, and then you might want to come back down. Right? You can go up as high as you want. And if after a couple of these you're like, oh my, I don't like doing it with my arms up here, you can bring your arms back down. Some of you may even want to reach for a block and do a little supported bridge here, whether it's to the lowest height of the block or the middle height of the block, or maybe even, you know, you maybe want to go up higher. You've got 2 blocks there. If you really want to go up, you can stack them. That's a little more stable than doing the highest height. And of course, you can move up and down out of bridge pose whenever, however you choose. Just take your time. Appreciate that openness through the front of the body. And you all know you don't have to wait for me. You can stay in bridge longer if that feels great for you. Go right ahead and stay. If you know that it's much better for you at this point to come down, then you come down out of your bridge and bring your knees in towards your chest when you come down. Whatever releases your back, whether it's coming into a little happy baby or a little bit of Baddha Konasana where you have your soles and your feet towards each other and your knees reaching out. Anything else? Maybe you just want to stretch your legs up. Maybe you want to come into a little cow pose, or maybe you want to stretch everything long. Start to head around, you get stuff, bolsters. Anybody wants a bolster underneath their knees? Good place here. If anybody would like a blanket, you all want anything? Feel like, oh, well, I'm not as comfortable as I want to be. Sometimes little things can help. Bolsters, blankets, under your head, under your knees. Yes. And also, if you're chilly, let me bring a blanket to cover you up with, because it is starting to be that time.
Right.
Temperature's changing. It feels not warm yet.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. You're welcome. A blanket.
I got one. Okay, you don't need covered.
No.
Okay. I think it's over the blanket.
So just let yourself enjoy receiving your breaths in and out. There's nothing you need to do in order to breathe. Just let yourself watch and accept your breaths. And you'll find your mind wanders off and you come back to your breath and it's a little bit like you want to breathe in deeper again. That's fine. Just let yourself accept those breaths. Appreciate that you have time here to let your body benefit from all you just did. Just by letting yourself completely and fully relax. gradually letting your breaths come in and go out more fully, deeply, enabling your fingers and your toes to want to wiggle and move around a little bit, your hands, your feet, and of course, move the way your body naturally wants to move. When you start to physically move again, you can stretch, you can bring your knees in, just take your time. You can stay on your back, you can roll to either your right or your left side. If you're comfortable to be on your side, you can even stay on that side to give your body and your brain a little longer to adjust. Be easy when you feel like you're ready to rise to sitting. See if you can make your way up really as lightly as you can, where you really feel like you're floating your way on upward. Adjusting your legs so that you're comfortable in how you're sitting for your hips. And adjusting your hands so that you feel really easy and open in your shoulders and across your chest and your upper back. And once you're seated, come back to your breath. Let your eyes gently close. Feel the breath coming in and going out through your nose. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.